This week on Nation's Business, we look at the devastating effects left by tropical cyclone Winston on Fiji and how the Fijian government is working hard to coordinate rescue and recovery efforts to urgently address the needs of affected Fijians and assist with the rebuilding process. Considered the most devastating storm on record in Fiji and the Southern Hemisphere, Winston came like a thief in the night, with damaging wind speeds of up to 220 kilometers per hour and momentary gusts of 315 kilometers per hour. Winston tore through the heart of the Fiji group, uprooting trees, tearing homes, schools, crippling infrastructure and communication lines, wreaking havoc and instilling fear that left many with scars and gut-wrenching stories to tell.
Kaya durwa binangami ki. Karungan doon binumela mi kami sandra sa tungo. Kena durwa binamay. Sendur tunga kaya sabu kamay na kau na kaba. Ke rumita kana katubo. Karena nungkung kasi. Nangono batanga rumita kina sa kalelom. Sa talingge bia kilir tu na durbo tuge. To boleh sara mo libu kira mo na nungku tubutung baru cilo mo. Nabungongu, ranganengu, karena mana lagi sah. Saya kanta bagi rakyat Indonesia lah, mereka baru tu kena.
On Saturday, we were just preparing for wrestling about the radio and other things that this hurricane will come, but we are not fully prepared. After 12, the cyclone struck on this island, the Koro Island, and then we were really shocked when the house was going all directions. And even not only the roof, but all the sides of the walls are going towards the sea. And we are really shocked when there is a tidal wave to Nassau village, that all the houses were washed away to the sea, and most of the people were killed here. Like we have about 10 to 12 people killed from this. It's a shocking news for me.
With the death toll still rising, the Ministry of Health is taking necessary precautions in ensuring that people and communities are safe from any outbreaks. Already, health response teams have been deployed to areas badly affected.
We're under severe pressure in terms of the facilities. Some of our facilities have been completely destroyed, like Waimaro. Others like Ra Maternity have under severe constraints, roofs blown off. People have had to move into the wards to actually work there. We have a lot of staff that facing traumatic situations. Some of them had to suffer through the consequences of living in a cyclone, being able to survive by hiding themselves in cupboards, but at the same time have to deliver service immediately afterwards. Also just been to Koro, where the facility has also been under severe stress. And at the moment we're able to set up. The good thing is, wherever we have facilities, we are providing service. So even if the facility is not working, people are working from the clinics or working from their homes. And where necessary, we have set up tents. So in Koro right now, for the inpatients, we have tents that are set up.
Schools in the urban centres that were not affected have reopened around Fiji, while around 100 badly damaged schools will remain closed for 3 to 6 weeks to allow for much-needed repairs. The international community has answered the call immediately to help Fiji and her people through the provision of emergency relief supplies and a contingent of engineers including medics, carpenters, electricians and plumbers. While the Fijian government is leading the response to the emergency, the National Disaster Management Office is coordinating efforts around the divisions through the activation of national and divisional emergency operations centres. A 30-day state of natural disaster has been declared, with essential services personnel deployed to areas in need. Just days after the devastation, Head of Government Prime Minister Varenge Bainimarama wasted no time in heading the response and assessment teams to the affected areas, starting in Dawasamutai level.
From the communities that we passed, they seem to be in a shock because the main thing they depend on is gone, their homes. If their homes had not been taken out and destroyed, they would not be standing around, milling around. They would be in their home. That's a protective cover that is gone from their life. So that's something that we need to think of. Very sad, but in addition to the home, as you come past, you'll see all the infrastructure is down. Electric wiring and road and water. Think of what the Fiji government has put into this infrastructure in the last 30, 40 years that has gone down in the last 24 hours when Winston came around. So we need to put it back online.
The situation is dire as families of the 4 villages of Nasinu, Silana, Natalaira and Driti from the Tikin of Ndawasamo Levu try to pick up the pieces and salvage some semblance of life. He also learns of stories of near-death encounters as villages fought against tidal surges and strong winds to find their way to safety. As he assesses the damages sustained to the villages, teams from DISMAC distribute the much-needed rations from rice, flour, canned food, water, all basic necessities needed to sustain the village for a month. While many still take refuge at schools, makeshift tents have been provided by DISMAC to many families who are now homeless. This also eases the pressure on schools, which have become temporary evacuation centers and thus allowing children to return to school.
It'll take us a while, but as I said, we will get back on our feet. We have to. There's no other option.
At Silana village, the Prime Minister had a discussion with the people of Ndawasamo, where he advised them of the extent of damage left by Winston on the Fiji group and the important need to start all over again.
Right now we want to feed them, clothe them, get them water, and get our infrastructure up and running, because our infrastructure will provide most of the assistance that we want to rebuild these homes and get our economy going.
Teams from the Health Ministry have also been dispatched to provide much-needed medical assistance and clean drinking water to minimize any threat of disease outbreaks. Villagers have also been advised of the need to relocate to higher ground and also build stronger homes that could withstand the onslaught of future cyclonic force winds. As part of rehabilitation efforts, seed distribution was provided to villages of Ndawasamo, where 161 family packages were sent, each including 10 different types of vegetable seeds. Tropical Cyclone Winston left behind a path of destruction for many Fijians, whose homes and livelihoods lay in its path. According to the National Disaster Management Office, an estimated 350,000 people have been affected, and DISMAC, together with the humanitarian community, is working around the clock to ensure that no Fijian is left out. Traveling further into the heart of Vitilevu's cane belt communities of Tavu and Rakiraki, the Prime Minister was able to share a few words with farmers and also inform them of the various assistance that has been provided by government through the FNPF Cyclone Relief Scheme and the urgent need to rebuild homes.
Some cotton, with tarpaulin, toilet paper, tin fish, noodle, just to help you.
Okay.
Some water, okay?
That is the best thing.
When you save your life, that's
okay.
That's the best thing. Huh? Never mind the house go.
Never mind. We can build it again.
Yeah.
The situation differs from one division to the next, as broken power lines stretch the entire length of the gravel road, a reminder of Winston's formidable winds. Mobile reception has also been interrupted, leaving many families stranded and unable to make contact with the outside world. The only form of communication is through satellite phones to heads of coordination teams on the ground. It's immediate visits like these that boost the morale of the community and the need to start all over again. As part of humanitarian efforts, relief supplies including food rations and tarpaulins continue to be dispersed as teams assess needs and priorities across the cane belt community. Everywhere, everyone has been affected some way or the other.
Some food thing for you. Where's who owns that home?
Mother.
Your father?
Yeah.
Oh, this is your home?
Yeah.
Okay. One for you and one for your father and mother. Potato, onion, noodle, tin fish, okay, dal, some help too.
Despite the traumatic experience many villagers had encountered during the height of Winston, a visit to lift up the spirits is a refreshing breath of air, with words of encouragement, rations, and the spirit to strive forward. At the Rakiraki Dismac Centre, teams are working around the clock to ensure that communities are given their fair share of food ration. With road clearance given a high priority, many villages are still cut off from the food ration distribution, and Dismac teams are working tirelessly to get through to them. The scale of devastation becomes clearer as authorities approach the island of Koro, which has been the hardest hit from Super Cyclone Winston. After the destruction of Winston, Dismac immediately deployed teams to Koro to ascertain the extent of damage.
That's the intention of the government for us to visit and assess Koro first. Everyone had witnessed through the aerial survey that had been out there in various media outlets, and the information that also been coming on the ground from Koro. It's only essential for the government to visit this particular island.
With aid slowly arriving on the island, it's apparent that many of these villages would need to be cleared and cleaned, with homes to be rebuilt as well as relocated. Winston had scarred the 14 villages of Koro, and with his powerful momentary gusts, also crippled crucial infrastructure, power lines, primary schools, community halls, and also evacuation centers. Teams observed the catastrophic damage to houses and other key infrastructure as a result of both the cyclone and the tsunami-like storm surge that came with it. Everywhere there were tales to be heard of survival stories and the sheer will to survive. Prime Minister Bainimarama expressed government's concern in seeing the people of the island get back on their feet, and has identified immediate shelter needs such as tarpaulins, tents of all sizes, construction tools, building materials, clothing, sanitary items for women, and the need to address the education needs of the school children of Koro.
School is at the moment 100% destroyed. Huh? It's been destroyed, and 100% of it has been destroyed. All the books, buildings have been destroyed, and it's a good thing, and I'm really glad today that we have visitors from the mainland here with us, and who are supporting us with food and other survival items.
A lot of people are fatigued. Some of our nurses and doctors some were cowering in a little shelter in a cupboard while the cyclone was happening. So even though that happened, after the cyclone is over, they have to start delivering services. So as a ministry, we also need to look at giving those people some rest, replacing them, because we don't want people burnt out.
Staff from the health and medical services continue to provide outreach services and at the same time work with the environmental health officers to affected areas for the assessment of environmental health risks, including water supply, sanitation, and food safety.
And there are a lot of concerns certainly about water and sanitation, about health. There's been quite a number of injuries. We're standing here outside a makeshift hospital.
Wherever we have facilities, we are providing service. So even if the facility is not working, people are working from the clinics or working from their homes, and where necessary we have set up tents. So in Koro right now, for the inpatients, we have tents that are set up. We're setting up a clinic on the island of in Koro, in the village of Nagamaki, where our nurse and her clinic has now become an evacuation center. So we have to set up temporary clinics for our people. I think the main message that we need to go through that the facilities are under stress. Some of them are damaged and destroyed, but services continue to be provided. We have a team out in Koro now that has come from the CWM that has dealt with all the trauma and the trauma, the injuries and all that. But now we're getting into the next phase where our big concern is with public health. Issues to do with typhoid, leptospirosis, if facilities, if there are villages that don't have toilets, and if people are defecating or passing their waste around in the various rivers and things like that, it's going to lead to complications. So that is our major focus right now, all across the Ministry of Health. Make sure that people have good water supply, good sanitation, that there are toilets built.
Priorities again remain, particularly with our essential services. We have focused now on 3 critical areas. One is again on infrastructure, 2 is on education and health, and of course the other essential services as well. These will be the main areas, particularly when we are looking at the needs when it comes to the recovery phase.
Certainly recovery is already beginning. You go out to the affected areas and people are already taking initiative and fixing houses, etc. But the recovery phase is it's starting already, and certainly some UN agencies that are not so focused on humanitarian, such as UNDP, for example, we have ongoing development programs. We are reorienting some of those to the recovery needs, but right now the focus is on the humanitarian phase that has to take precedence.
Our initial push was focusing on the 3 essential tasks: provision of basic needs to all Fijians, restoration of essential services, economic recovery. So I've talked about the sequentially and simultaneity in all this. While we are providing for the basic needs to all Fijians, even the restoration of essential services, we are going into the short to medium term recovery operations as well. But then, in terms of allocation of timelines, in these first 30 days, we are doing things concurrently as well. So recovery is also in its place, focusing again on those 3 essential tasks.
With essential food items being distributed by government and the humanitarian community, the state has also identified its food security plan. 15,000 sweet potato cuttings were distributed, and at the same time, villagers were also encouraged to start cleaning, rebuilding, and replanting immediately. Stay tuned with Nation's Business as we also bring you a special on the rehabilitation efforts on the island of Koro.